Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer!
All
Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things.
All right. Welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And Gabe and I are here for another music reaction. Him listening to a song for the very first time, me introducing it to him. It's kind of a cheat, but I get to enjoy listening to this music. And the thing I love about this is I'm trying to think of new songs for him, new to him songs for him to listen to. I get to go back down memory lane, and I listen to it on my own a bunch of times before we react to it just because I remember how great it is. We're looking at Korn today, requests here, Patreon requests from Jehan. Thanks to Jehan. Have you heard of Korn before with a K?
Now, this is one of those videos I remember, if I'm thinking about the right group, where I was like, well, this is what heavy metal is? Because they got like the burlap sacks on their head or something crazy like that, the mask, right? They look like...
not.
Okay, wrong band there. But that was my first impression of heavy metal and rock, and I was like, I ain't going there. Those played it right. I remember a guy telling me one time, yo, there's I forgot what the name was, a rock and roll band, and when I was in high school or whatever. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you're not getting me in no bar house with dudes with, what do you call it, burlap sacks on their heads or whatever. I know what happens there. I know what happens in those places.
The movie Strangers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That was like that's what I thought heavy metal was, until, like, honestly, other than that and then Kurt Cobain, that's the only expression
These crazy
I
metalheads.
Dude,
what are they doing?
Dude, honestly, Slipknot, aren't they just scary? Who goes to it? You said Slipknot? Who goes to that kind of
I want to
concert?
say eventually they did take off the mask for performance. I'm not exactly sure. Can you imagine performing with that thing on the entire time? You're sweating, it's hot. They have some good songs. I never was the biggest Slipknot fan, but Korn was more of my older brothers. He loved Korn when it came. We're talking about like the 90s right here, okay?
Okay.
Probably late 90s. This was on MTV all the time. But this was a song that everyone loved. And the great thing about this is it's also got a great like animated music video that goes along with it, if I remember correctly. But I haven't listened to this. This was not one I kept listening over and over. So once Jehan requested it, I was like, let's do it. Haven't heard it for probably a decade, so I'm excited to revisit it. But if you like this anyway, don't forget to
like and subscribe.
There we go. Take two. All right, this is a little freak on a leash. And I do say that phrase all the time when I want to call someone a freak, like sarcastically. You are a freak on a leash.
I've heard that phrase. I never knew where it came from.
You've heard that phrase before?
Yeah, is that a? I've heard it like in movies and stuff like that.
It's got to be from this. Got to be. Here we go. I'm sorry guys, but the digital TV player he picked up?
I did, but right away, I'm going to stop for a second. It says Ice Cube here on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And like when it started, it almost sounds like a rap song. Like you know what I mean? Like the instrumentals.
Beat, kind of, but it's not a rap song, but it's
But are they using like, guitars and regular drums for this, or are they using like instrumentals?
Well, they probably have some I don't know, some electronic apparatus.
It just sounds different than all the other rock songs you've played me so far.
But it could be just a synthesizer. I'm not sure.
Something takes a part of me. Something lost and never seen. Every time I start to believe something's raped and taken from me, Life's gotta always be messing with me. Can't it chill and let me be free? Can't I take away all this pain? I try to every night, all in vain. Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face.
it looks like he's actually doing that with the guitar then. That's crazy. I thought that was like a synthesizer or something.
Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can't taste. Sometimes I cannot feel my face. You'll never see me fall from grace. Something takes a part of me.
So that part right there with the drums come a little harder right there. This is, you ever heard that before? It's not a drum solo because he's singing along with it too, but where that drum heavy part of the music, like that's just for me so iconic, and that's where the song really starts to turn up a notch. I forgot that this bullet goes through all these things. I thought the whole thing was animated. That shows you how long it's been since I've seen this. Korn posted.
Bullet. Magic bullet.
Go! I have not seen this in forever. Oh my word. So I'm very, very curious about your opinion with this, because for me, this is a good song, but for me, I like certain parts of it better, if that makes sense.
Right.
And again, it's been 10 plus years since I've heard it, so I had forgotten about a lot of different things. He's a little freestyle in the middle. Forgot about that whole part. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
You know, as I'm listening to this song right now, it's more unique, I think, than any rock song you've played for me thus far, because it does have some elements of rap, like you said, even though it was like gibberish, but
Yeah.
even the beginning of the, and I guess, you know what, people are gonna, I'm sure in the comments, what are you talking about? All the sounds from synthesizers do come from like instrumentals. I don't know. Rap music, there's very few musicians that, rappers that have actual bands and musicians that do that. It's
Right.
all, you know, MP3s and the machines and like the biggest DJs in the world. I've driven them around. A guy named Tiesto, all his music comes on like a MP3 thing like this, and he just plugs it in, and you know what I mean? And Tiesto's not demeaning what they do, but it's just done differently than, you know what I mean? So when I'm listening to it, like, wait, this doesn't sound like rock. And even at some parts, the drum solo, even the guitar solo, it was accompanied by him singing the whole time. Normally in most rock songs, you just give, they give that time to breathe. So to be honest, I don't know how I feel about that. But what's weird is I feel more familiar with this as far as like being more of a crossover almost from maybe not rap, but hip hop and rock than just regular metal. But I loved it.
Loved it. Wow.
It's
interesting because you said it's more familiar to what, it's more like what you're more familiar with.
Right.
That's interesting.
I mean, would the casual, or not casual, would the hardcore rock fan consider this rock? Or
I would
metal?
say, I was thinking while you were talking, I was thinking, how would you classify this? Because metal is not metal. maybe hard rock, maybe a hard pop rock, maybe a hard punk rock. I'm not punk rock. I'm not exactly sure what you call it.
You know what this guy reminds me of? It just hit me. And people are gonna be like, oh, he's not rock. Limp Bizkit. You know how Limp Bizkit was kind of like more, like hip hop, but
hard alternative rock, something like that.
That's what I want to, and that crosses over. That's a guy I have forgot that does like rap, but also does singing, and is more. He does have his band, so he would be considered some version of rock. But he crossed over to the mainstream hip hop community.
With Method Man.
Yeah,
Redman,
exactly. So maybe that's what this reminds me of. But dude, it's way different. I thought this was like, I forget the name, the Burlap Sacks, the Scary
Slipknot.
Dudes or whatever. Yeah, they go Slipknot. I was like, that's what I was expecting. Maybe because I went from that to this is why I enjoyed it. But it feels more familiar to me, and I enjoyed it. It's gonna be a added. It's gonna be an added. Thank you, Dr. Jehan. It's gonna be an added, man. It's just more familiar. This is something that me and Savannah would listen to. Like I said, it's just plays more towards our kind of music.
I'd be really interested to hear her response to this song. You play it in there, and you don't say anything. It's like you just play the song, and you're in the car for at least 5 minutes.
Right.
I'd be interested, like 3 minutes through, if she's like, "What is this?" Not like in a negative way, but just like, "What is this?"
She's actually very eclectic with her selection of music. Savannah listens to a lot of different things. Her diverse background, of course, Mexican, Hawaiian. So, she's introduced me to some stuff that I was like, "Oh wow, really? That's pretty cool," or whatnot. But I'm sure she'll like it. I would say though that one of the things, I think rock did not a poor job, but I think that maybe because, hey, this is our music, you can come listen to it or not. Like you said, this was on Youtube. I've never seen this video. I don't know why it wasn't a bigger push. Like you could tell.
It was on MTV every day for like a year. It seemed.
You can tell though that there was a huge push. There's not a single rap fan I don't know or hip hop fan that doesn't know who Kurt Cobain is. They pushed him. Okay, Fred Durst, most people know, and because he collaborated with Method Man, they pushed him. I don't know what this kind of music is, but the guys that collaborated with Jay-Z, Linkin Park, they pushed him. Like, this would have sold in the rap community. Why wasn't it pushed more? Because I've never seen that video.
I feel like it was pushed. Or in
the hip hop community.
For a few years, this band was hot. Like, they were everywhere. The thing with the other bands you mentioned, Nirvana's got the tragic, death of Kurt Cobain, right? And there's still people like, oh, it wasn't suicide, whatever. You had that, and it kind of cemented that legacy, not to mention the drummer goes on to create Foo Fighters and whatnot, Dave Grohl. And so you had, like, Linkin Park, like, some of those bands, like, they pushed themselves with the album after album after album. I want to say Korn had 2 big selling albums, and then, like, that was it. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Let us know. What had happened to Korn? Let us know what your thoughts are. Get in the comment section. And I don't want to hear about that viral I Like Korn song. I'm not talking about that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
We know all things.